What's up, my man? So, Frank's Aztecs. Oh my god. What a shitty matchup. Yeah. So, reading through a lot of what you said, yeah, I agree with a lot of what your line of thinking here. Your understanding that you kind of are going to be forced into throwing Axeman, or at least need to have that option available for the Eagles. So, all that's really good thinking. However, general rule, don't open scouts against Mesa, right? So this is that one time when you probably should always open. You should probably always open Josh Fletcher Men at Arm, right? So you're kind of thinking like, hey, aren't Aztec Men at Arms better than mine? Not really. So where the Aztecs have the advantage, where the Aztecs kind of have an advantage is they have that extra gold, right? And their barracks produce a bit faster, right? So all these things, like in the grand scheme of things, is really minor because you have free horse collar and you have faster collecting berries. So what you can do with your eco off of Men at Arms with Franks is probably more than what they can do off of theirs, right? If they're going to be transitioning to archers or eagles, they're going to have to go on gold anyway, right? So if you're going on gold, like there's nothing lost here, so you are going to probably come out ahead. I would say Franks have better Men at Arm rush than Aztecs. Except Aztecs, of course, generally want to get into Eagles. That means that the Men at Arm rush is really convenient and natural for them, right? So there's a few ways this game goes in general. Like I'm talking off of Men at Arms here as we go through the Dark Age a bit. Right, so you go Man at Arm into Archers. That forces him to Archer Skirm, right? So let's say you do Archer Skirm as well. You get up, he gets up, and then his natural transitions either going to be stay Expo and play an Expo war with you, or to play into Eagles, right? So from your side, you're kind of left reacting, and you have to have good scouting here. So if you think there's any chance he's going into Eagles, you need to be on stone, getting ready to go either for Axeman or to play Night Expo. And this is actually a really hard thing to do, and it's quite micro intensive. But you need to keep if you're planning on doing Axeman, then it's kind of okay to trade off the archers, right? Because they're not really going to serve you too much utility. But the key thing here is to have your map walled. So you actually have really natural walls here with this wood line. Right? Like these are really natural walls. You have back woods, back stone. Right? You have a really nice map. Okay? The fact that you took the forward wood isn't the biggest sin in the world, but if you had scouted this, I would have said take back wood. Again, not really the biggest deal. Pushing deers, whatever. I think you found everything, so it's fine. No, you didn't find your boar. I hope you found your boar. I hope it just ran into the black spot. Okay, I think your build was fucked. Anyway, whatever. I wasn't looking too closely. If you're going scouts, 4 on wood's too many. You want 3 on wood. And so you actually scouted this cliff. You just didn't really... You were incognizant of the side of the map. So this house is a mistake. You need to be walling with this cliff to the side of the map here. Okay. This is kind of where like pushing your deer will hurt you. But you've actually got full scout on your map. You're just not reading it properly. So, back to what I was saying, right? You can play 2 stable, 2 range. Basically, 20 Expos kills a fully upgraded Eagle Warrior in Castle Age. So, if you're playing Eagle Knight... Sorry, if you're not playing fucking Eagle Skirm. Oh my god. If you're playing Night Expo, not Skirms. 20 Expo will kill an Eagle. Right? So if you're playing Night Expo, you can't really afford to be trading off your archers in Feudal Age. You kind of want to save them. You don't want to commit to skirms because they're kind of a waste for you, right? So in that case, you're playing a much more of like a defensively oriented game, keeping your eco safe, making sure you're walled up so you can't just run in willy-nilly with the Eagle Warriors, and going from there. Other option, like natural option, of course, is Axeman. Yeah, these walls are really bad, man. The other natural option is throwing Axeman. And here, the natural counter throwing Axeman is the Expo, which you talked he masked, right? He went really heavy in the Expo. So that kind of leaves you with two areas, or kind of three options, right? First option, you go Axeman Mangonels. Okay? And your Axemen are 100% there, dedicated to protecting your Mangonels, which will ideally kill the Expo of your opponent, right? For this to be really effective, you probably are going to want like 3+ Mangonels. However, it leads to a really turtley game. So this means that you need to be having multiple castles up in strategic points, right? Castle, if possible castle, if possible castle, like this kind of thing, right? You need to have your base, you need to have control of these hills in the middle. Like this is a huge hill. Like getting a castle up here if you're doing Axeman Mango, you're kind of like win conditioned as long as he doesn't like tread down your castle and shit. Okay? But to do that, you have no mobility. As a result, everything needs to be stonewalled. You don't have the option. House walls won't be enough. Palisade sure as hell won't be enough. Because he will have the option of just like running around you and ignoring you and just diving on you. Right? So for that to happen, you need to have your map protected and safe. However, it's really, really hard for Aztec to actually counter that. Like their only real option is Redemption Monk. Okay? So Redemption Monk is kind of the only thing that they can do. At this level, you're not going to see it. Straight up, you just won't see it. If you go Axeman Mangonel, they're going to go fucking like... They're going to get like tunnel vision as hell, and they're going to try and do something. They're going to go like YOLO Eagles, they're going to go YOLO Expo. They're going to do something, or they're going to try and go Mangoes of their own. Okay? And your Axeman will be really proficient at killing Eagles. Horrible place for your stable, by the way. This is a really unnatural location. I realized that you put up these walls here and you didn't want to delete them. You should just delete these walls. You as a result of this right now, let's say you put your waypoint over here when you're full walled, your scouts will now run into your base. If it's here, you have unlimited mobility. Here they have to run all the way around, so it takes longer to get out and about. Okay, I haven't even been looking at your scouting. Yeah, you died to the TC. That's brutal. Sorry, I'm not trying to shit on you. I'm just kind of like going through as I think through this matchup, because it is a difficult matchup. So obviously not scaring the men-at-arms here, losing your scout, this is like huge, right? UN 21 pop, that's always good. You've invested a lot into walling here, and I don't think you have enough on wood. Okay, yeah, you only have 7 on wood. This is another issue. 2 villas here. Okay, you have 2 villas making your stable, that's good. And anyway, I'll be like backtracking a bit just as we kind of watch this and I see what's happening. Okay, so where did I leave off, right? So yeah, the first option that you have in generally like playing from like the first way you can play out playing from men-at-arm into archer is you leading into Axeman Mangonel, right? So just refer back like a minute and a half if you've already forgotten what I was talking about, but that's pretty much how you're going to have to play Axeman Mangonel. The second natural option is stay Expo, he goes Eagles, you go Expo Longsword. Right? This is a really common way to play it. Malians are really good at this. This is where Malians actually really shine against Aztecs. Aztecs really struggle against good Longsword, decent archers. Right? And your trick here is you kind of just have like this immovable ball and they just can't fight you right. They just can't fight you properly. Vikings, a really good way to fight this shit with Vikings as well. Like these kind of civs that have natural archer, natural infantry play available to them. Definitely an option, right? Franks is not quite as natural, but you have strong eco, and I think you have supplies as Franks. Don't quote me, you'd have to check. But I would still consider that an option. Your Expo aren't very great. However, they can get the job done. So Expo Longsword, definitely an option. Or Skirm Longsword. I wouldn't say Skirms. I wouldn't do Skirms. But those are options. And then if needed, like if they just go like hard Skirm on you or something, you can always just transition with Knights naturally. Okay? So if you've noticed the theme here, it's double gold units. And third option you really have available to you, also a double gold unit composition. And that is going to be Expo Knight. So Expo Knight mainly I'm gonna like back up a step and a half here, okay? So if you go pure knights, the natural response from the Aztec player is monk, pike, eagle, which you correctly identified. It's one of the most bullshit compositions in the game. So difficult to fight. Feel your pain. Die to it consistently. It's just amazing. It's just an amazing comp, right? It lets people play like way above their hitting weight, right? Like I can play someone who's 2k1 and I can stand a chance. If I'm full walled, if I have a decent map and I go 1TC, pike, eagle, monk, I can put this guy on his money. I had a tournament final against Dobbs where I nearly won it, and it nearly won me the series, right? And Dobbs is a very solid 2k1 player. Okay? So, like, it lets people hit above their weight. So, 100% be scared of it. So, the third option is Knights Expo. Okay? Because the natural transition against pure Knights is Monk, Eagle, Pike. The Expo essentially will take care of the Pikes and the Monks. It requires some micro. You need to keep your Knights alive. They need to be in front of your Expo. You can't lose your Expo. Your Expo are literally the most important thing here. Okay? You can't let those Eagles get on top of it. And you need to make sure that your Knights are staying with your Expo. It's the same story with like Longsword Expo as well. You need to keep those Expo alive because your Expo are your answer to, in this case, the Monks and the Pikes. Or in the Longsword Expo option, they're going to be your answer to Monks, and Longswords are your enemy if your enemy decides to go Longsword. Which they probably won't in that case. But definitely be aware of that, okay? So, I'm going to actually start talking more to this game. So I already mentioned your walls are bad. Okay, this should be 2 houses, your barracks and your stable, okay? And then, ideally, you would be walling over here, but you're against men-at-arms. You don't know that, because unfortunately we lost our scout. Okay? So, here you're playing blind, and having it out here. So, I'm trying to think of how to say this. Apologies. So, okay. There it is. So basically what you have to do is, because you are playing blind and you have no idea what's coming, wall, right? Perfect situation, you walled like this. That obviously didn't happen, so we can't really talk about it. Alright, and the reason for that is then your berries here, your berries are protected, your gold's protected, your stone's protected, and you have the wood here protected, right? So yes, you lose control of these bad boys here, but everything else is protected. Okay, so my biggest gripe, as mentioned earlier, is where your stable's placed. This should be palisade. Okay. But good initiative, like getting these early walls, just you walled them properly. And that kind of just hurt you a lot. Because this just would be so much of a shorter wall. Alright, so your stable will get up. And your opponent went 23 pop? No. He just delayed men-at-arm. Okay. So we're not making scouts. Okay, we do have double bit axe, that's good. Unfortunately, because this wasn't the palisade, like this wasn't palisaded, he's now getting to your berries. Okay, so you're starting to quick wall on your wood. Okay, you're getting good walls. You need to finish off your wood. A tip here, instead of walling laterally, like this along here, you could have dropped a gate. And then he has to run under your TC. Right? So yes, maybe he's like beats on your gate, then you just repair your gate. Make sure it's locked though. After it's built, you need to make sure it's locked. But yeah, you can just repair your gate. Okay? So the way you play this now is you mass scouts, you wall out the men-at-arms, you ignore the men-at-arms, and you go forward and you figure out what the hell's going on. Okay? So going to the gold, going to the berries, figuring out if he's going 2 range, if he's going 1 range, if he's going 3 racks, like you don't know what's happening. Okay? So you wall out the men-at-arms. and you make sure they're walled out. Like, you make sure they're walled out, and you go to your opponent's base. On my stream earlier today, I was watching Running versus Dogao, and this is exactly what had happened. Dogao went men-at-arms, Running walled out the men-at-arms. He didn't full wall his map, he walled out his res, protected his res. Running ran in, dived, got 4 Dogao's Woodvilles. Right? So just like that, he was up 4 vills. So that's how you should play it from this position. So these walls aren't bad. I would wall to the TC just to bait that fire. But these walls aren't bad. Like, this protects your shit. Okay, we're not making farms. I understand there's a lot going on right now, but yep, farms seem to be going down. That's the biggest T90 farm ever. He appreciates you. And you need to finish off walling that's wood as well. Okay, and these guys need to move forward. So yeah, this is a problem. If you're not going to finish off walling, okay, your scouts are going forward, but now you're just like panic Vilwarring here. Don't Vilwar, just run. Just run. And wall in your stuff and run. Right? You're going to lose vills here that don't need to be lost. Okay? So you're giving your opponent an advantage right now. Right? You did a good job getting these guys back to work. You're bugged here. And you brought a scout back. Okay. And this is obviously, like, there's a skill level thing here, so you don't quite have the APM to, and neither do I, honestly, most of the time, to manage this and this. Totally fair. I totally understand that. Okay? But as soon as you scout these ranges, which you're doing right now, you need to drop your own range. And you probably should have dropped a range anyway, before these mass farms. So the way you play scouts against men-at-arm, and this is for all matchups, right? So generally against Meso, the rule is you just open racks, right? You do your own drush, you do your own men-at-arm rush, whatever, you open racks, okay? Anytime you go scouts into a men-at-arm rush, like let's say your Huns or something, what you're really going to want to do here is you want to go scout scrim, right? Ideally, your scouts get there. Are you getting a Vil? No, you're getting an Archer. That's not bad. So ideally, your scouts are there early enough to keep them open. You have this range at home. Like, 6 farms, drop your range, kind of. Is how I would look at it, right? Because you need that range early. You need to start getting scrims, and then after that range is built, you obviously keep adding farms. But you don't really worry so much about going on gold. That's not priority. It's farms, skirms, scouts. You need to get mass out there. The skirms can help defend against the men-at-arm, because the men-at-arm can't, like, beat into your walls, because this should be walled, again, right? With skirms, picking at them, even if it's 1 damage at a time, 2 damage at a time, if you have fletching, right? So, and then the skirms naturally will counter this archer transition here. Okay? So as soon as you see those ranges, like, that should be the reminder of, fuck, I didn't drop my range, drop it and go. Right? Start getting those skirms out. You can't stop making scouts, unfortunately, because you're open. A general rule, especially against Meso, is if you're open, you need army. Right? And this can actually apply in a lot of games. And then, if you're walling and you're still planning on going, then you need to start stonewalling. Because eagles are just that strong. Right? And that's the biggest problem with Meso. Is they have pure initiative. So, we're not making scouts. We're still making vills, that's good. But we're also not dropping our ranges. And we're not walling off here. So yeah, this is blacksmith. So this is a mistake. As I've already explained. Okay, we're keeping our scouts alive and active. This is good. We're getting full view. We're getting full scout off here. That's a lot of vills on gold. Right? We don't quite know his farm count yet. And it's pretty anemic. Right? So if we were going scouts and skirms here, I would say we'd be in a really good winning position. Because he's going 2 range archer, and he has a very anemic farm count. With a crap ton of auto vills here. Okay, if these guys were walled in, these men-at-arms couldn't keep poking in like this. Okay, so we're going to kind of just speed this up. So there's our range. It's really late. We cleaned up the men-at-arm, and we're doing, like, these panic 3 walls. Yeah, okay, I know why we're panicking. We saw the move out. Okay, we're going up, so we're going to go 2 stables. Okay, so we're making... This tower was a panic tower. I don't... Like, how do I say this? If you weren't going up, that tower was good. You were going up and you're almost up, that tower's bad. Okay, you're better off just, like, taking 4 vills, and when he's, like, trying to beat through a palisade, you just drop a house behind it and you delay, right? He doesn't have enough archers here to one-shot you. Okay? You just drop that house behind it, get some stuff up, and then you're going to be up and he's going to have to go home because you're going to have knights coming. Okay, that's why that tower's bad. And now you can't build TC, so you're stuck into a 1 TC play until you collect stone. Okay, so this tower, and if you weren't up, that tower is good because you're not going to have those knights out and he's not going to have to go home. So let's say you get that house up. Well, now you have some wounded vills, and then he just beats another spot, and then you have to do it again and again and again and again and again and again. And we have a huge issue, right? But that wasn't the case here because you were so close to getting up. You would have been able to take out these archers with ease. So here we go. Yeah, look at this, right? He's just walling behind. That's totally good. And look at all those Expo. And now we have Expo Pike. Yep, skirmishers were the play, but we shouldn't have taken that fight. I have a question for you, my friend. Where is our siege workshop, and how the hell are we ever going to make out of 3 stables? Right? There's no way we can afford 3 stables. We can't even afford our TC. We can barely afford our TCs. We have 9 farms. We have 12 farms. Okay? Like, here's something to be very cognizant of, right? What's a natural counter to Expo? Mangonels. When you have mangonels against Expo, who's the onus on microing for? It's the Expo player. So you have 1 unit, he has 20. But those 20 units need to be babysat. Because if your 1 unit gets a shot off, he could lose his whole army. Just like that. Right? So when you're in a situation like this and you're up against Expo Pike, Siege is the natural counter. Right? Like Siege Skirm here, like you're just winning. But, of course, you have that natural transition of potential Eagle Warriors. Now, your opponent has no plan of doing Eagle Warriors. He's going 3 ranges. You don't know that? I think. I wouldn't know that. No, you scouted it, dude. You've seen the 3 ranges, bro. You know this is coming. Right? This calls for a Siege Workshop. Getting that second upgrade on your skirms, great play. That you need it. Like, that's more important than Bodkin. But you need that Siege Workshop. Because he's going YOLO Archer. And that Siege Workshop is the natural play. There it is. Right? You can't afford these 3 stables. And you're being way too ambitious. You're like, I understand that you want to trade off. But what you're saying is, you're saying to your opponent, I am going full skirmisher. I am going full skirmisher. Please, come make units that fight my skirmishers. Right? So, yeah, that's, to me, that's an issue. Right? Because to me, like, the natural play for him is just to start making some Eagle Warriors instead of these pikemen. But yeah, we need our mango. I don't think we've made our mango. We do not have a mango. So we panic dropped this and then we never used it. That's also an issue. So, issues here just with, like, your production buildings, right? You have ranges on every side. You have 3 stables when you can never afford to use 3 stables. You've made your Siege Workshop, but you never used your Siege Workshop. Right? And I don't hate this castle, because we need to defend this area. But imagine if that castle was up here. Like, I understand this might also be why you have the castle here. But in an ideal world, right, this is walled off. So maybe we imagine our castles over here instead of over here, right? I would have to count squares, but 2, 4, 6, 7. How much range do these expos have? 7? Okay. So you would have a hard time hitting your gold if this was walled properly. If you would walled like here, you would have a hard time hitting your gold. So, like, I understand why the castle's here in this case, and I don't hate it at all. But proper walling, this castle could be over here, defending this whole entire side of your base. Or, ideally it would be up here, but you've lost all map control, right? So now we're just looking to defend our base. And then all this walling here wouldn't be necessary, and so on and so forth. But yeah. Okay, you should have taken that fight. You had him pincered. And we're missing ballistics. That's always an issue. Okay, this is a really bad fight. So yeah, he's adding those Eagle Wars. And we just took the worst fight of our life. We lost everything downhill. And yeah, we're kind of dead. Oh, I bet we wish we made some mangonels now, right? So we have our castle. We don't have our axemen actually with our army, unfortunately. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be laughing, but that hurts. And yeah, this is a game. Yeah. So there was a lot of extra stuff I had like added in here. This was definitely a very winnable game. You didn't react to what you scouted, unfortunately. You scouted those 3 ranges. That should have been your cue for an instant siege workshop. Dropping 3 stables with 50 villas and 12 farms is never going to work, unfortunately, either. So that's like a waste of res. And just lack of... You're just not prioritizing that 200 wood where you could have used it, right? That's cute. I don't hate that at all. But as we know, we've lost this huge hill in the middle, which is like crucial. We took these downhill fights, which you had already identified. So I'm not really going to harp on that. What I will harp on, just to reinforce, proper walling. You would scout all of this, right? There was no excuse not to have proper walling. Okay? And then have an understanding of what your opponent's actually doing. So yes, we're scared of Eagle Pike Monk, but if he's going 3 range, then we need to play against 3 range. We can't play against something he's not making. Okay? And you could be saying, well, he's adding in Eagles. Yeah, but he added in Eagles at 35 minutes. Right? So we had 15 solid minutes where he wasn't making any Eagle Warriors, and therefore it wasn't an issue. Yeah. So hopefully that helps you a little bit. I spent a lot of time talking about the matchup here, and that's because you have a pretty solid grasp of that. And before I forget, you need to work on your Scouts build order, because that was not optimal. Too many on wood. I didn't get super in depth on it because there's a lot of videos out there that will tell you how to do Scouts build order. You're definitely a good enough player that you can look at that, read it, study it, and learn it. So 100% would recommend that, because it's one of those basic things that I feel every player needs to know. Right. And then a general rule, obviously Aztecs, you just kind of don't want to open Scouts against them. And then yeah. Alright, that's it for this one, man. Hope it helped. Peace.